Well, we're all pretty sure now that Sony are working on a competitor to Xbox Game Pass entitled Project Spartacus. They do realise that Spartacus was crucified, don't they? Actually, the reality is that nobody really knows what happened to Spartacus, and I worry that that might be the case for Project Spartacus down the line if Sony don't get all their ducks in a row and sort out this service. Because if we go into a site here, techradar.com, they report on what Jason Schreier was saying back in December. And it says here, according to Schreier, Sony's gaming service could be split into 3 tiers, with the base level expected to give users essentially the same benefits as PlayStation Plus. So PlayStation Plus, which we've already got. So that's not really giving us anything that we haven't already got, and it's certainly not giving us anything that would compete with Game Pass. So then we move on to the second tier. The second tier is suggested to be the one that's most similar to Xbox Game Pass, granting PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 owners the ability to download as much as they wish from the extensive library of PlayStation games. As much as they wish from the extensive library of PlayStation games. So basically the same as PlayStation Now, which we've got here. And there's a whole load of games, but it's all older games. And yeah, I mean, there's a few newer ones, but these games have been out for a while, like God of War and Horizon, Zero Dawn. And they're great games, but they're not new. And we'll get to that in a minute. And then it goes on to say, let me just go back to the page. And the third and most expensive tier would grant access to all of the above, as well as a selection of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 and PSP games. So, does anyone notice what's missing there? Yep, you noticed it. No PlayStation 3 games. So, what exactly is this offering that's new over and above what we get with PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus? It doesn't seem to offer anything new at all. And I mean, this is PlayStation Plus on the PC. It's slightly better on the PlayStation, but even so, it's not exactly a stellar service. So they're going to need to do a few things to make this better, in my view. Now, if we go down again on this article, a little bit further down the page, it says here, and this is another one that really is bugging me here. According to initial rumours regarding Sony's Game Pass rival, it seems unlikely that the Japanese company would offer its subscribers day one access to the biggest PlayStation releases. It does go on to say, though, however, Microsoft has since announced its intention to purchase Activision Blizzard, which likely threw a wrench in Sony's plans. You don't say. Personally, and this is obviously my personal opinion, I don't think this service is going to be much different to what we've got here with PlayStation Plus, or sorry, PlayStation Now, unless they do something. And they've already talked about backwards compatibility without PlayStation 3. But I think it's going to need PlayStation 3 games as well. And we've seen that emulators can do PlayStation 3 games. So I'm sure Sony could do it. So we need to see that. And we need to see them not just streaming. Because if we go over to God of War here, and if I go to God of War, we got the option to stream. Now, this is on the PC, not the PlayStation. Same with Horizon. You can stream it. I'd like to see, given that they're bringing more of these games to PC, I would like to see the option to download them to your PC and play them from there. That's the first one. If they're going to bring their games to PC, why not bring PlayStation, whatever it's going to be called, Spartacus, to the PC and allow you to download and play your games natively on the PC? That would make a lot of sense to me, especially as, and I know a lot of PlayStation guys aren't going to like me for saying this, but especially as we're going to be seeing more of these games coming to PC now. And eventually, and again, this is my opinion, eventually they'll either be very close to the PlayStation release or they'll be day and date. And this brings me to the next point. As it says on this article, According to initial rumours, it's unlikely that the Japanese company would offer subscribers day one access to their biggest PlayStation releases. And I think that's a huge mistake. Look, and I know that PlayStation gamers won't be happy if Sony suddenly issue this new service and it's got games day and date. But that is exactly what happened when Microsoft did it 5 years ago. Initially, when they started doing this with PC, they issued games day and date. And then down the line, the first game was Quantum Break. And then down the line, after they brought out Game Pass, then they started bringing games day and date to Game Pass. And now we see all their first-party releases and a fair few third-party releases as well coming day and date to the service. So, that being the case, if Sony aren't going to do that, if Sony aren't going to bring their games over to whatever the new PlayStation Now version is going to be called, Spartacus, we'll call it Spartacus. If they're not going to bring it over to Spartacus, if they're not going to bring these games day and date to Spartacus, what exactly is it about this service that is going to entice people to subscribe to it that didn't entice them to subscribe to PlayStation Now? Because I subscribe to PlayStation Now, but one of the big problems with PlayStation Now is there's nothing there that really makes me go, oh, I must have it. The only reason I'm subscribed to it is so I can make videos like this showing you PlayStation Now. And, you know, this is the PC version, as I say, and it's not as good as the PlayStation version. Nevertheless, what exactly is there on there? There's a few old games. And that's not what Game Pass is. Game Pass brings their games, and we all know this now, first-party games day and date, and a fair few third-party games day and date to the service. And that is what makes it so attractive. And that is why they've got 25 million subscribers. In this field, in this area, it's all about content. You know, this is why Disney bought Marvel. This is why Disney bought, Fox. And this is why Microsoft are buying Activision Blizzard. It's about content. And if Sony doesn't bring content to this service and new content to this service, then they are going to go the way of Spartacus. They are going to get crucified because they won't be able to compete. Now, obviously, the flip side of that argument is that, well, Sony won't be able to afford to do it because Microsoft are throwing bucket loads of money at this and they're able to run at a loss. And I understand that. But Sony are going to get themselves painted into a corner if they're not careful. Because consoles are going to become less and less important, certainly to the mainstream gamer. And as that happens, services are going to take over as the primary way of consuming games, whether we like it or not. And if Sony just concentrate on the PlayStation and don't put real emphasis on this new service, this Spartacus, it'll disappear without trace. It'll be like PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now, sorry. It'll be like PlayStation Now. Nobody bothers with PlayStation Now, or very few people bother with PlayStation Now because there's no reason to. If you're a PlayStation gamer, you've got a lot of these games already. What's the incentive to subscribe? And look, you know, with Game Pass, I subscribe for new games and old games, and it's great to have the backwards compatibility, but I will say it again, no PlayStation 3. I mean, I don't know what that's all about. And I know people are going to cry, oh, it's hard to do. Yeah, of course it's hard to do, but it's doable. They need to have PlayStation 3 games on there and they need to have some new games on there. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Sony do what they've done with PC. With PC, they've dipped their toe in. They've brought Horizon Zero Dawn and they've also brought God of War and they've brought, Death Stranding to the PC as well. And we will see more of this. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see with Spartacus. You'll probably find maybe in a year's time, maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit less, but probably about a year's time, Sony will bring a game or a couple of games to their new service, to Spartacus, day and date. They might be some slightly smaller titles initially, but we will see some games day and date on the service. And if that is successful, like it's been with the PC, with bringing games over to the PC, okay, not day and date, but the release window is going to get shorter and shorter for that. And we'll see this happen with new games on this new service. They'll either come day and date, and it'll be a couple of them, or the release window will be so short that, you know, it won't make much of a difference. It'll be a couple of months or something, and then they'll come out on the service. And if that's successful, that release window will get shorter and shorter until eventually we'll see that these games are coming day and date to the service. And if they don't do that, the service is going to fail because it can't compete. It can't compete with the competition. What we need is PlayStation 1, 2 and 3 on the service, so backwards compatibility. We need third-party titles, and if you look on here, you can see there's already third-party titles on here, so they're not going to have a problem getting third-party titles. I don't think that's a big issue. They're going to need to bring first-party day and date, some games at least. And they're also going to need sensible pricing, because when PlayStation Now first came out, it was ridiculously overpriced and they had to cut the price. Now, if Game Pass puts its price up, and that could happen, then it might be easier for Sony to come in and price a little bit higher, but they need to be competitive. And so they need to be competitive on price as well. And they also need to do something about this bloody PC support, because PlayStation Now on PC is a joke. There's not even a search engine. There's been no search bar here since the beginning. I mean, I moan sometimes about the ability to search for things on the Xbox, but this is ridiculous. It's terrible. So that needs to be sorted out as well. And as I say, these games need to be downloadable. Certainly some of them. You know, why is Horizon Zero Dawn not downloadable on PC? You can buy it on PC. Why is God of War not downloadable on PC? You can buy it on PC. So those are the main things anyway. I think, you know, they need to sort out the PC side of things. They need to sort out the release windows, and they need to bring some of these games at least day and date. And like I say, I know Sony PlayStation fans are not going to be happy about that. But we saw exactly the same thing when Quantum Break came to PC day and date on the Xbox. We came to the Xbox and PC day and date. And some of the Xbox fanboys threw their toys out of the pram. And now, 5 years later down the line, we've got nearly all the first-party games coming day and date to PC. Some games are exclusive to PC. Some, I think, are still exclusive to console and not PC. But most of them are coming to PC as well. We're also seeing games day and date on Game Pass. And I don't buy many games on Game Pass on Xbox now. I get most of my games through Game Pass. And if I really like them, then I will go out and buy them later. You know, like maybe buy a few special editions, because it frees me up to have a bit more money to spend money on special editions and buy hardware. You know, you guys follow me. You know that I've bought loads of console controllers. I love my controllers. And so you can make money in other ways, and you can free people up to spend money on other things. And, as has been said, the fact of the matter is people still buy games. And the other thing people do, and I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this, but with Game Pass, what a lot of people do is, because they're not spending full price on the game, they then go and buy the add-on packs and spend money on, you know, additional content. And some people go out and buy games as well because they play it on Game Pass and they think, this is great, I'm going to buy it. And some people double dip and they get it on PC as well, or whatever. So it's not beyond the pale that Sony could do this and still make money in the long run. They may have to take a bit of a hit in the short term, but once they're established, let's be honest, the PlayStation fans are quite rabid and vehement about their platform. And if Sony did this, they'd buy into it. They might moan about it to start with, but they'd buy into it. Most of them would. And why wouldn't they? Because it would be incredible value for money. As it stands, with, you know, not offering games day and date, And, you know, this 3-tier where it's not much different to PlayStation Plus for the first tier. And then all you're getting for the second tier is some backwards compatible games. And then the third tier, what's the third tier? Oh, it's the third tier gives you backwards compatible games. The second tier is that, what? they get access to a load of older games, but maybe not backwards compatible ones. And you have to spend extra to get into the third tier with backwards compatible games. That makes no sense to me. Makes no sense at all. Seems like a half-baked approach to doing this. Just make a service, charge a reasonable price for it, make some of your games day and date, and if that works, put more games day and date and have done with it. Just make a proper competitor to Xbox Game Pass and see how you get on. Because if you don't, Sony, well, you're going to get crucified. It really is going to be Spartacus. Anyway, that's all I've got to say on this one. You guys might disagree with me, and if you do, look, it's fine if you disagree with me, and I could be completely wrong on this. It wouldn't be the first time I've been completely wrong. But if you think I'm wrong, have a chat with me. We can talk about it, and you can set me right. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye.